I didn't even get a forecast up on Facebook.
Easy. We're on now. And it's a mostly quiet day across the country. There are a few exceptions across the south and southern plains where we've got some severe weather going on in a few places and what looks like almost summer-like showers and thunderstorms in the deep south. But the rest of the U.S., there ain't a warning or advisory to be found. That's why I use this background, because you very rarely see a U.S. map that doesn't have hazard on it somewhere. But there are no hazards here. It's just Joe Rayo and me, Joe Chaffee, on tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, which you can support by shopping on Amazon using our referral link that's pinned to the top of the chat board. It's also on the description to this podcast. It's very easy. Just use the link to get you to Amazon, do your shopping for whatever it is you're going to buy. And Amazon throws us back a little bit of coin for sending you there. And it doesn't cost you a dime out of your pocket. It's an easy, simple way to support the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. And here he is. We are here. It is a Wednesday night. It looked like you had a beautiful day over
Well,
by you.
actually, it turned out to be a bit disappointing. I had figured we'd have nice deep blue sky and lots of sunshine, and what turned out was we had a lot of high clouds, also maybe a touch of haze, and it was probably due to the forest fires that are
In
going on to
Central
our
Jersey,
south.
yeah, there were some air quality alerts that were issued today.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, I would think that they would have had a good chance. I guess they don't have it under control. Do they have it under control yet? I haven't really been following it.
Something like 18,000 acres are now the worst brush fire down there in 20 years, and I'm still scratching my head as to why the National Weather Service in Mount Holly didn't even at least put out a special weather statement yesterday, or at very least a special weather statement, or didn't even put out a red flag warning. This is really is like what happened?
Well, I mean, I don't know that it was that. I mean, I don't know if it was that dry long enough. I'm just curious as to what started it all. They did say the thing was they did say in their air quality alert that it was due to the brush fires, but then the New York air quality alerts that they issued didn't even mention the brush fires in New Jersey.
Right, right. Well, we were doing a discussion on weather legends this morning. Myself, Rich Von Olin, and Chris Semino, and I think the bottom line with the amongst us was, maybe this is a function of the fact that they don't have as many people on staff anymore,
Well, that
and
could be. That could very well be.
you know,
Paul Roman says, thank you, Paul Roman, that 40% of the fire is contained. I mean, it hasn't spread to any homes though, has it? It's all been in the Pine Barrens.
that is true, but that also means that 60% is uncontained.
Correct. No, no, but I'm saying this so far it's just been in the forest areas. It hasn't
But
been.
there hasn't been any evacuations. No, I don't think there's been any homes that have suffered any damage. But still, 18,000 some odd acres of of forest land or whatever is gone because of this fire, this brush fire. So we'll see.
Meanwhile, today here, what struck me today was that for the first time in ages, I mean, I guess I have to go back to last summer or even last fall, but um, it really because we had some scattered downpours and some thunderstorms. In fact, I got one overhead now because I can hear the thunder. Um, it actually smelled like spring outside. I mean, you could smell the rain, the fresh rainfall, the grass. It was humid, but it wasn't hot. I mean, we got temperatures in the 70s. Right now it's 67 here, and I can hear the rolling thunder above me. So gonna get some more rain, which is really good because the last few weeks here have just been, and actually most of the winter, with just a few exceptions here and there, it's just been so bone dry uh, that a lot of my perennials haven't come back yet, which is odd. or if they have, they've come back very scraggly. So anyway, uh, that's my story here in North Georgia, where it's
Well, we got up to
currently.
70. We got up to 76 here in Putnam Valley today, and aside from the fact that again there were a lot of high clouds in the sky, a little bit of haze, but aside from that, it was a very comfortable day out there this afternoon. Great day to do a lot of yard work.
Harold Olson wants to talk about the year without a summer, 1816. I wasn't there for that, just to be clear. Joe, you weren't there for that either.
No, I was not.
No. I have to do a little research on it. Yeah, I mean, I know the common idea of the fact that in New England there was snow reported in each of the 12 months, but I don't know the details. I got to go back and reread the stuff. So maybe when we come back from vacation, we can we'll do something with that. But welcome tonight to everybody on the chat board, and welcome to those of you lurking in the background on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. We are here Sunday through Thursday at 7:35 p.m. However, after tomorrow's show, we will be off until Monday, May 5, May the 5th. So we're going to be off for about 10 days. So just mark that down and don't send me messages about whether there's a show tonight. There's no show to Thursday until Monday, May the 5th. But I will be posting things on the community page on my YouTube channel, as I always do. And also, I do cut a weather. It's actually weather in 2 minutes now, uh, instead of weather in a minute, since they decided to make the short videos were limited to 1 minute. Now they're limited to three. And of course, Facebook copied that. So I just decided to make it a little longer. I call it weather in a minute, but it's really 2 minutes. But you know what, Joe? It's so good and so riveting that you don't even realize that it's an extra minute long.
It just goes right on by, and you say, "Really? That
Yeah,
was."
that
It
was that was
didn't
yeah,
seem like a minute.
exactly, exactly correct. All right, so let's take a look at that fabulous warnings map and hazards map from the Weather Service, because I actually got a screenshot of it around 3:30 this afternoon before they scarred it with the severe thunderstorm watches. They just ruined the look of white from coast to coast. And actually, there are hazards. They're hard to see. There are flood advisories for some river flooding that's still going on along the Missouri, uh, Kentucky, Tennessee border and the Tennessee, Mississippi, Arkansas border, and into parts of northern Louisiana. So there are some areas where we're seeing some flood advisories up, but for all intents and purposes, it was a clean map. We do still have air quality alerts for Ocean County, Atlantic, and I think even Cape May County. And they had some up for Long Island earlier. Let me just take a check. Yeah, they do have air quality alerts for Long Island, New York City, and the Hudson Valley. Uh, Even though they don't say on the air quality alert that it's due to the brush fires, it's due to the brush fires. And now we've got three severe thunderstorm watches that are up in West Texas, pretty much a repeat performance of what was going on last night. And there were some big thunderstorms that formed there last night that held together as they moved eastward. I mean, they were strong storms early this morning, uh, with one or two odd severe storms, but for most part, it was just this complex that moved eastward, and now much of that has moved its way into Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia, and we've got three flash flood warnings that are up for three counties in northern Alabama, and that's it. And here's what it looks like on the satellite loop. Uh, yeah, there was a little bit of. I'm just looking at the loop. There wasn't a whole lot in the way of high clouds. Maybe the haze made it look like there was more than there was. But anyway, the high clouds seem to be gone, and the weather, the skies are pretty much okay from Maine down to Virginia. Although if you look really close, you can kind of see a little bit of that, stuff from the brush fire in New Jersey. Meanwhile, storms firing up nicely uh, in West Texas here. A lot of the high cloud tops there really showing up and blowing up rather quickly, extending up into Kansas. We've got moisture that's moving through the northern Rockies and into the northern plains. We've got Gulf moisture that's moving eastward. It kind of looks like, the Northeast is in its own little world, and we're at the time of year that if you get sunshine and it's not it's not a cold air mass from Canada, you're going to warm up pretty nicely. And I think that's what you did there. In the meantime, you look in the south, it kind of looks like a day in July. Not that we had temperatures, it wasn't that warm. Uh, but in terms of the development of showers and thunderstorms, there's quite a bit of moisture around.
And we will be getting into some much needed rainfall come Friday night into a good part of Saturday, courtesy of, well, kind of like what we had the other day. A warm front approaching, then we get into a wedge of warmer or milder, more humid air, and then a cold front slides on through during the day on Saturday, and that generates showers and maybe even a rumble or two of thunder. And again, this is something that certainly, where the fires are occurring right now, certainly they could use that, but it's not coming until again Friday night at the earliest into Saturday. Till then, looks like it's going to remain bone dry.
And Sunday looks good for you.
Sunday looks dry. Sunday looks like improving weather, improving skies, and also, oh, guess what? Increasing winds. Once again, we're going to have gusty winds here, probably on Sunday afternoon, and that may very well carry over into Monday as well.
And we're probably going to see showers and storms here tomorrow and again on Friday, and maybe some improvement as we go through the weekend. When I say here, I mean here in North Georgia. Radars are quiet until you get down into the southeast and you see some storms off the North and South Carolina coast. They're a little more numerous. We've got some thunderstorms that are east of Atlanta to about Athens and Gainesville, and a couple of odd severe thunderstorm warnings that have popped up there. The band that's in North Georgia, that's right south of the Tennessee, North Carolina, Georgia state line. I'm in that. I'm at the southern edge of that band that's there and runs up northeast into western North Carolina. Also seeing some cells with some heavy rains in northern Alabama and northern Mississippi. Active also in southwest Mississippi over Louisiana and Arkansas. And then we've got these new storms that are forming, and you see them from Kansas down through Texas and into southwest Texas, where we've got a number of severe thunderstorm warnings and actually one tornado warning in southwest Kansas there that's popped up for one county in the last 5 minutes or so. We also have some activity in and around Kansas City and Topeka, where we've got some strong storms there. And there's moisture back in parts of Colorado. There's a severe storm southeast of Denver. There's showers running through Wyoming and into the Dakotas. The west is mostly quiet. The Storm Prediction Center's website tonight, Joe, is, oh, finally, it loaded. And we've got, it's for some reason, there's some of these Weather Service websites are slow on the uptake. A slight risk for severe weather in these three watches that are north-south there in the western plains and run up into western Kansas. And with that, as we take a look on this map here, we can see that the tornado risk in Kansas is up to 5%. And that's where we saw that one tornado warning. Now, day two, for tomorrow, a marginal risk for, again, the same area for the third day in a row. I love when they have these maps where they cut out areas in the Northeast, from North Carolina to western Pennsylvania to southern half of New York State and to southern New England. No thunderstorms are forecast, but they actually do have a risk up in upstate New York and into northern New England because there is a little disturbance that's going to be moving through there. I would not be surprised, Joe, if they add a little slight risk again tomorrow for this area. Day three, which is day
They just
three.
kind of close everything. They just kind of close everything up and put just about everybody in a general
Yeah,
thunderstorm thing.
day three, which is Friday into Saturday, a marginal risk again in West Texas into Oklahoma. But I should point out that we do have 2 days in the long range. If we can get to the long range page, they must have done something to where the bandwidth, maybe they decided that you don't need all this bandwidth power, and it's taking forever for these pages to load. Day six, not day six, which is Monday into Tuesday of next week, we have a pretty large area of implied slight risk from Oklahoma northward up into Minnesota and Wisconsin. And day seven, it's a little further east from northeast Texas, northeastward through Missouri and into southern Michigan. So back in another potential severe weather event for the Mississippi River Valley, uh, where we've already had several sizable events, and looks like another one's coming for early next week.
I think after the threat of showers here locally, Friday night into Saturday, I think the next chance for any kind of wet weather here won't come until about the middle of next week, and may have something to do with the activity that you just pointed out. The severe, we're not in severe weather uh, out to the middle of next week. Uh, Probably we'll begin to see an increasing threat of showery conditions here by about Wednesday of next week. So there you go.
The WPC folks still have a half to three quarters of an inch of liquid for Friday night, Saturday. Bigger rains on top of what's fallen the last couple of days. An additional inch and a half to 2.5 inches across Oklahoma into Arkansas, southwest Missouri, and north central Texas. Also, a band of an inch and a half from southeast Nebraska, northeastward up through Iowa and into Wisconsin and southeast Minnesota. In the Tennessee and lower Ohio Valley, three-quarters of an inch to an inch and a quarter in most places. The areas closer to the coast in Virginia down to Georgia and Florida, not very much in the way of precip there, a quarter of an inch or less. And in the case of Florida, hardly any rain except near the Panhandle, which is where I'm going. And a little bit of precip out in the northern plains, three-quarters of an inch to an inch and a half plus, extending back into the northern Rockies. And that's just about it. So we're still in this sort of benign pressure pattern. There's a little high that's going to go off the near Cape Cod tomorrow. Might be, maybe some sea breeze action, but it should pretty much be a repeat performance of today. You can see the showers firing up across the south and in the plains. And then we go into Friday, and same thing happens, but a little further east because we've got a low that's coming out of Iowa, moving into Michigan. There'll be some showers and storms in Illinois, Indiana, down into Missouri and Alabama. Then it's going to push up to the northeast. And yeah, Joe, this looks like another one of these warm front, cold front situations. The warm front's going to try to push northward and probably will have some success. And then we'll get the front to come through and maybe some showers and thunderstorms into Saturday afternoon. But you might see a little bit of improvement late in the day. And then, of course, as everything pulls out to the east, a little bit on the breezy side, might be a tad windy Saturday night into the first part of Sunday before the gradient relaxes. And then as we go into next week, we've got a low in the plains. And you can see the severe weather that the European produces up in Iowa and Wisconsin. And then on Tuesday, further, you start to see stuff bubbling up in Missouri, Illinois, Indiana. It looks like the risk air, the Euro model's a little more southeast than where SPC's showing the risks. And then, of course, that front makes it to the East Coast dry, mostly dry on Wednesday. And I'm just trying to see that after this weekend, maybe another chance next Friday night with another cold front. Again, it's this east-west pattern, so everything's moving along. And the good thing about that is that when it's not raining, you're not getting into an onshore flow and dealing with a northeast wind and temperatures in the 50s.
Well, again, we could use precipitation to help out the situation in South and Central Jersey with the fires. And I agree with you. After Saturday, the next chance for any precipitation of any significance may not come our way until next week, Wednesday. And even that, as you just pointed out, Joe, doesn't really look like much of a threat at all. So,
No, let's fire up some big storms in western New York and into Ohio. Europeans got a nice looking northeast southwest line, but then it just sort of fades as it comes to the east. And by the way, in the long, long range, I was looking at the European weeklies, which were kind of interesting. And it would, this west to east flow is highlighted by troughing in the west and ridging in the east. And that is for that. This first map here is what the upper flow looks like, valid this coming Monday. And then as we move to a week from Monday, which would be May 5th, you'd start to see the beginnings of some changes. We still have ridging in the east, but we're starting to get a ridge off the west coast that's pushing eastward. And gradually, as we move into the middle of the month, the flow turns more northwest in general. And it's on the coolish side for, let's say this would be from, whoops, hold on, it's moving too quickly. So this would be from, say, mid-month on. The European weeklies would suggest that the second half of May is going to be on the coolish side.
Well, we said, what, about a week or two ago, looking at some of the long range models, European in particular, that, normally the European, when you go beyond, let's say, the 10 or 15-day period, it tends to or trends to go toward above normal temperatures. So it's kind of unusual to see it trending in the other direction.
Right.
I think it was in the year 2014 we had what really was a summer with hardly any hot weather. It was dry. We had low humidity. And I referred to that summer, I think, as the Garden of Eden summer. We haven't seen anything remotely like that since, but who knows? We might be heading for just such a type of a summer coming up this upcoming year.
Yeah, the European, and I can't, the weeklies go out 6 weeks, but the month, you know what, the other one we can look at, let me get the CFS, which as we all know is, the can't forecast four-letter S word. I'm a classy individual. I don't like to use cuss words, not on the air anyway. Um, but on the CFS, here we go. So the CFS is, uh, it's not quite this. Oh, wait, hold on. Let's see. April 23rd, initial April 23rd. Okay, there we go. All right. So I'm looking in the wrong place. So this is April 30th, April 23rd through the 30th. This is the mean upper air, trough in the west, ridge in the east. And then from the 30th to the 7th of May, you got the ridges on both coasts like the European had. And then on the 7th to the 14th, you start to get that northwest flow with more ridging in the west. It's still there on the fifth week, which is the 14th to the 21st. And you still have kind of a northwestish flow on the last period, which is the 21st to the 28th. So the CFS is maybe not quite as cool as the European is, but it is. It's not warm. It's not warm. It might be norm. It might be average, or maybe a little bit above average, but it's not showing any kind of big ridging in the eastern part of the United States once we get past the first 10 days or so of the month of May. So it's just a broad observation. You
Well,
know,
it's been so, the last 2 or 3 summers have been so very humid up here, and we've had our fair share of heavy downpours and flooding concerns in places last year, especially in August, over parts of Connecticut. So it would be nice if we can get through this upcoming summer with some coolish temperatures, drier conditions, not as much in the way of rain or showers. So we'll see. Hopefully, the hints, if you will, being provided by the European might very well be giving us a clue that this might not be the same kind of summers we've had in recent years.
okay. So it's Briller Jeopardy time, and we're still on the I Love Lucy theme.
Da, 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 da.
Yes. Are you ready? Chatboard, fasten your seatbelts. Okay. Um, Let's see. The first question is when Lucy met Harpo Marx in the Harpo Marx episode, he had just come from something. He had just come from something. What was it that he had just come from?
Benefit. Benefit. Burner. Benefit.
Benefit. Yes, that's right. It was a ladies' benefit.
Yes,
That's right, Vincent Croce, chasing girls by the pool. I Love Lucy was originally a radio show titled. Let's see if the chat board can get this.
okay.
I'll be impressed if they do. Do not Google it, by the way. I Love Lucy was originally a radio show titled No, not Life with Lucy. No, not the Lucy Desi Hour. That was in the late 50s. I know, Christina Pedia, you are far too fine a person to use Google. You are very honest. Very good, Frank R. My favorite husband. Ring the bell for Frank R. because he got that.
That's
My
right.
favorite husband.
And interestingly, when that radio show initially went on the air, the name of Lucy and her husband, the last name's the surname was Cugat, believe it or not. And
Yes.
they after several shows, they said, we really can't use that name. That's Desi Arnaz's rival, Xavier Cugat. So they changed the name from Cugat to Cooper. So and a lot, if you ever heard that radio show, you'll recognize a lot of scripts which were later played out on the I Love Lucy TV show. A lot of the shows followed along what the difference was is that Lucille Ball's husband on My Favorite Husband, I think he was a banker. No, it
Yes.
wasn't. Don't get it confused with Mr. Mooney on the
Richard,
Lucy.
was it Richard Denning?
Richard Denning. Yes,
Yeah. Okay.
they
All right.
wanted Richard Denning.
Again,
They
I'm
wanted
sorry.
Lucille. They wanted Lucille Ball and Richard Denning to reprise their roles on television, and that's when Lucille Ball said, "I'd rather have my husband, Desi Arnaz, play my husband on the show." To which CBS said, "Oh, that'll never work. No one will believe that, a red-headed American woman would be married to a Cuban."
And she
Uh,
turned around and said, "Well, I am." You
yeah,
know exactly.
exactly.
Okay. Ethel had in the character Ethel had in the show three middle names that were used. Can you name those middle names?
And
Anybody
they
on the chat
and they
board?
would never mention in the same show.
Right. Vincent Croce, you got the first one. Ethel May Potter, we never forgot her. Well, that's one of my favorite episodes, by the way. Um, no, Mertz was the last name, James Davidson. Margaret, no. So we've got Ethel May. There's two others. Not Margaret, not Beth, not Estelle. Not, Rich Rothmansky, very good. Louise, Ethel Louise Mertz,
Yep.
yes. And Fred called her once, and referred to her by her full name, like Ethel Louise Mertz. And there's one left. One left.
No, Vincent Croce. It wasn't Mr. G.
Right. Um, let's see. There's one left. Joe, do you know what it is?
I knew about Louise and I knew Ethel May Potter. So I'm curious to know what the other middle name is.
Well, in this particular episode, Joe, Lucy referred to Ethel as come. She says, "Come, Ethel Roberta," and it was in the episode with Aunt Martha's old-fashioned salad dressing.
Really, I
Yes, Roberta. Now, what star?
friends, I cannot keep this ruse up no longer. Don't buy.
Right.
Cancel your
Don't
order
by
now.
cancel.
Cancel.
Right, and she played in the commercial they supposedly did on Charlie Appleby's station, Carolyn Appleby's husband. on a TV show. Um, Ethel was Mary Margaret McMurtz, and I guess that was a play on Mary Margaret McBride, who
Right.
was, I guess the Martha Stewart of that time. And Lucy was Isabel. The first one was Isabel Clump, and then she came back as Lucy McGillicuddy as the average housewife that hated Aunt Martha's old-fashioned salad dressing. And what star did Lucy here wears nothing but black laced underwear? What star did Lucy here wears nothing but black laced underwear? Joe.
Was this on I Love Lucy?
Apparently it was. I have to go back and look at this. I kind of think I know what episode this may have come out of. Um, but uh, it's telephone for Gregory Peck, telephone for Walter Pigeon. It's a female star.
I don't. I really don't know.
Well, this is where Fred get. They're getting up. They're popping up every time they hear the announcement of a star because they're at the Brown Derby having lunch. And
Right.
Fred says to them, would you two please sit down and stop, popping up like Jack in the boxes?
Right.
And and Ethel says, yeah, you know what? He's right. The people here, you know, Fred says they're people just like you and me. And then we hear telephone for
Where? Where?
Ava Gardner.
Ava Gardner.
Now, Fred, remember, she's people like you and me. And Fred says, she may be people, but she's not like you and me. I think somewhere in there, I got to go back and rewatch it because that's the one show where Ava Gardner was mentioned, and I'm thinking maybe there's Lucy whispers it to Ethel or something. I gotta go back and watch it just to
Frank
double
R is
check.
correct, by the way. It was the Eve Arden episode. Eve Arden made a
Yes,
cameo appearance. That actually was the more centered on William Holden.
right.
That
And when Lucy's response to Ethel because she was talking with Eve Arden and she said, "You touched her."
yeah.
Scott Briller, thank you for hitting the tip jar. He's got one more I Love Lucy run for tomorrow before weather comes back in May. So, anyway, I'm exhausted. I don't know about you, Joe, but I'm tired.
All right. Well, I it was one of those days for me. I already told you about that off air. So
Right. All right.
yeah.
So, you know what? We'll be back here tomorrow night for the last show, and then we're going to be off for 10 days. So, everybody be sure to tune in. Thanks for being here tonight, and we'll see you tomorrow on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. Night, night.
Nighty night, folks.